Imagine a standard 5-ton truck that can park in a forest, fire a rocket into a window 20 miles away, and disappear before the smoke even clears. It's not a massive tank or a heavy battleship, but it has single-handedly destroyed the logistics of the world's second-largest army. This is the M142 HIMARS. Born from the lessons of the Cold War, it became the definitive weapon of the 21st century. Today, we're looking at the high-mobility artillery rocket system and why this grid-square remover turned from a niche tool into the most feared name on the modern battlefield. The origin of the HIMARS was born from a radical realization in the late 1990s: the U.S. Army was too heavy. While the massive M270 GMLRS was a terrifying weapon, its 25-ton tracked chassis was a nightmare to transport across the globe. The Pentagon needed a light version, something that could fit inside a C-130 Hercules transport plane and be ready to fire minutes after landing. This led to the creation of the M142 HIMARS. By taking the lethal rocket pod of the M270 and mounting it on a standard 6x6 family of medium tactical vehicles, FMTV, truck, American engineers created a hybrid that combined the punch of a heavy battery with the speed of a highway cruiser. Engineering the HIMARS was a masterclass in mobile efficiency. The truck itself is relatively simple, but the brain inside the cab is a technological marvel. Everything is automated. The crew of 3, commander, driver, and gunner, can operate the entire system without ever leaving the armored cabin. They can receive target coordinates via a secure digital link, aim the rocket pod, and fire a full salvo in less than 30 seconds. This plug-and-play lethality turned the artilleryman into a high-tech operator, moving the king of battle from the era of manual calculations into the age of the digital strike. The heart of the HIMARS lethality is its modular rocket pod. It can carry 6 GMLRS rockets or 1 massive ATACMS tactical missile. This versatility is what makes the system so terrifying. It can function as a battlefield shotgun, saturating an area with submunitions, or as a long-range sniper rifle, striking a specific bunker or bridge from 50 miles away with meter-level accuracy. The pods are designed for rapid reloading. A separate resupply truck can swap out an empty pod for a fresh one in about 5 minutes, allowing a single HIMARS to maintain a constant and overwhelming rate of fire that no traditional artillery can match. Protection on the HIMARS is focused on the crew's cabin, which is wrapped in armor capable of shrugging off small arms fire and artillery shrapnel. But the true armor of the HIMARS is its mobility. Because it's a wheeled vehicle, it can reach speeds of 53 miles per hour on paved roads. This allows for the shoot and scoot tactic to be executed to perfection. By the time an enemy's counter-battery radar detects the launch and calculates the firing position, the HIMARS is already miles away, speeding down a highway to a hidden hide site. It is a ghost that leaves only fire and smoke behind, a predator that is almost impossible to catch. The GMLRS rockets themselves are masterpieces of modern ballistics. Guided by GPS and inertial navigation, they don't just fall on a target, they fly to it. Each rocket features small canards on the nose that adjust its flight path in real time, ensuring that it hits within a few feet of its intended coordinates every single time. This surgical capability changed the nature of artillery warfare. You no longer needed to fire hundreds of shells to destroy a target, you only needed one rocket. This efficiency revolutionized military logistics, allowing a small unit to achieve the same strategic impact as an entire artillery regiment from the Cold War era. When the HIMARS officially entered service in 2005, it was seen as a tool for the War on Terror, used for precision strikes in Iraq and Afghanistan. It performed brilliantly, providing 70-mile sniper support for special forces teams. But the world didn't yet realize its true potential for a high-intensity, conventional war. The HIMARS was a quiet professional, waiting in the shadows of the U.S. arsenal while the world focused on stealth jets and drones. Little did anyone know that this 5-ton truck was destined to become the most iconic weapon of the 2020s, a digital sledgehammer that would shatter the myths of modern armored warfare. Throughout the 2010s, the HIMARS became a vital part of the U.S. military's global strategy. It was deployed to the Middle East to fight ISIS, where it proved its ability to conduct danger close-fire support. Because of its extreme accuracy, HIMARS could strike targets in dense urban environments with minimal collateral damage, something traditional artillery simply couldn't do. The Viper of the desert was proving that it was the perfect weapon for a new era of clean warfare, where precision was just as important as raw power. It was a tool of diplomacy as much as destruction, a visible sign of American support for its allies across the globe. The evolution of the HIMARS software and networking capabilities turned it into a system of systems. It could now receive targeting data directly from F-35 stealth jets, drones, or even satellites. This sensor-to-shooter link meant that if an enemy target was spotted anywhere on the battlefield, a HIMARS rocket could be on its way within seconds. This digital integration made the HIMARS a vital part of the multi-domain operations doctrine, where land, sea, and air forces fight as one single, connected organism. The truck was no longer just a launcher, it was a node in a global web of high-tech destruction. International interest in the HIMARS skyrocketed as nations began to see its strategic value. Countries like Poland, Romania, and Singapore realized that a fleet of HIMARS could provide a deterrence that was far cheaper and more effective than a fleet of expensive tanks. For a nation facing a larger neighbor, the HIMARS offered the ability to strike deep into enemy territory, targeting fuel depots, command centers, and bridges. It was the asymmetric answer to traditional military power, a weapon that allowed a smaller force to punch far above its weight by paralyzing the enemy's ability to fight before the first tank even crossed the border. One of the most significant upgrades to the HIMARS family was the introduction of the PRSM, or Precision Strike Missile. This new weapon aims to extend the HIMARS' reach to over 300 miles, effectively turning a tactical rocket launcher into a strategic missile system. The PRSM is designed to be faster, harder to intercept, and more lethal than the old ATACMS, ensuring that the HIMARS remains relevant in a world of advanced air defenses. The light truck was becoming a strategic threat, capable of holding entire regions at risk from the safety of a hidden forest or a highway overpass. Life for a HIMARS crew is a game of high-speed patience. They spend hours waiting in hide sites, concealed under trees or inside warehouses, staying silent to avoid detection by enemy electronic warfare. When the call comes, it's a burst of intense, focused activity. The driver races to the launch point, the gunner confirms the digital coordinates, and the rockets are unleashed in a thunderous roar. Then, it's a race against time to leave the area before the enemy responds. It is a high-tech, 21st-century version of guerrilla artillery, a life of boredom punctuated by moments of extreme lethality that requires a professional and disciplined mindset. By 2020, the HIMARS had established itself as the gold standard of mobile rocket artillery. It had survived the transition from the Cold War to the digital age and proven its worth in every environment from the deserts of Syria to the jungles of the Philippines. It was a respected, albeit quiet, member of the American arsenal. But the storm was gathering in Eastern Europe, and the HIMARS was about to be thrust into the most violent and well-documented conflict of the modern era. The world was about to learn a new word for terror, and it started with an H. The arrival of the M142 HIMARS in Ukraine in the summer of 2022 marked one of the most significant turning points in modern military history. For months, the Russian army had been using its massive numerical superiority in traditional artillery to slowly grind down Ukrainian defenses. But the HIMARS changed the arithmetic overnight. Ukrainian crews, trained in record time, began to use the system to strike Russian ammunition depots, command centers, and bridges deep behind the front lines. The surgical sledgehammer had arrived, and the Russian logistics machine, built on the slow movement of trains and trucks, began to go up in flames. The HIMARS effect was immediate and devastating. In the weeks following its deployment, the number of Russian artillery strikes dropped significantly as their ammunition supply lines were systematically dismantled. The high-precision strikes on the Antonivsky Bridge in Kherson became a masterclass in modern siege warfare. The HIMARS put rocket after rocket into the same square meter of asphalt, making the bridge impassable for heavy equipment while leaving the structure standing. This surgical demolition forced a massive Russian retreat without a direct, bloody tank battle, proving that in the 21st century, the most important armor is a precise rocket. To counter the HIMARS, the Russian military threw everything they had: specialized electronic warfare jammers, panzer air defense systems, and even decoy hunting teams. But the HIMARS proved to be an elusive ghost. Ukrainian crews used wooden decoys to trick Russian missiles into wasting millions of dollars on fake HIMARS, while the real launchers continued their work from hidden locations. The Viper of Ukraine was proving its shoot and scoot DNA, moving through the night, using the country's extensive road network to stay one step ahead of the enemy's vengeance. The psychological impact of the HIMARS on Russian troops cannot be overstated. For the first time, Russian soldiers felt that nowhere was safe, not even 50 miles behind the front. The sound of a HIMARS launch became a signal that a command post or a barracks was about to disappear. This omnipresent threat forced the Russian army to move its headquarters and depots further back, stretching their supply lines and making their entire offensive much less effective. The HIMARS wasn't just destroying hardware, it was destroying the Russian army's competence and its ability to coordinate a complex modern war. The war in Ukraine has also served as the ultimate real-world testing ground for American technology. The US and NATO have been watching closely as the HIMARS faces off against the latest Russian electronic warfare and air defense systems. The lessons learned in the fields of the Donbass are being funneled back into the development of the next generation of rockets and sensors. The HIMARS has proven that Western quality over quantity philosophy is not just a theory, it is a lethal reality that can neutralize a much larger, but less advanced, opponent. It is the brain of the Ukrainian defense, a machine that turned a standard truck into a strategic titan. As the war continues, the HIMARS remains the most requested weapon by the Ukrainian High Command. Its role has expanded from striking depots to providing counter-battery support, hunting down Russian artillery with surgical precision. Every successful HIMARS strike is a testament to the power of digital networking and precision engineering. The system has become a national hero in Ukraine, even inspiring songs and memes. It is the iron liberator of the digital age, a machine that proved that freedom in the 21st century is defended by GPS-guided rockets and the courage of the crews who drive them through the fire. The final analysis of the M142 HIMARS is a story of a niche project that became a global legend. It proved that in the modern era, deployability is just as important as firepower. The HIMARS established the blueprint for the future of land warfare, a platform that is light enough to be flown anywhere, fast enough to survive, and accurate enough to win with a single shot. It has forced every military in the world to rethink their artillery doctrine, moving away from massed dumb shells toward a decentralized network of high-precision, mobile strikers. The influence of the HIMARS can be seen in the sudden rush by nations across the globe to acquire similar systems. From the Baltic states to Taiwan, the HIMARS model is being adopted as the ultimate defense against a larger aggressor. It has proven that a small, professional force equipped with high-tech rocket artillery can create a deterrence that is far more credible than thousands of old tanks. The HIMARS has changed the geopolitical map, giving smaller nations the long-range sting they need to protect their sovereignty in a dangerous and unpredictable world. Today, the U.S. Army is looking toward the HIMARS 2.0, the M142, which will feature even more automation and the ability to fire the new PRSM missiles. But the original M142 airframe remains a masterpiece of modular design. It is a living weapon system that can be upgraded with new pods, new sensors, and new software for decades to come. The truck with a rocket pod has outlasted many of its more expensive and complex rivals, proving that the best military engineering is often the simplest and most adaptable. The HIMARS is not going anywhere, it is just getting started. The cultural legacy of the HIMARS is also unique. It is perhaps the first artillery system to become a mainstream celebrity. It represents the high-tech side of the American military, clean, precise, and undeniably effective. For the crews who drive the Viper, there is a unique pride in operating a machine that is so strategically important. They aren't just gunners, they are the long-range snipers of the Army, a breed of soldiers who operate at the intersection of heavy machinery and high-speed digital data. The HIMARS is their home, their sword, and their contribution to history. Standing next to a HIMARS today, you see a vehicle that looks remarkably normal, until you see the armored cab and the massive rocket pod. It doesn't have the alien look of a stealth fighter, but it radiates a sense of quiet, lethal authority. It is a machine of pure purpose. It doesn't need to look intimidating because its results speak for themselves. From the Viper of the desert to the Liberator of Kherson, the HIMARS has remained the ultimate tool of American precision and global stability. It is the machine that turned the scream of the rocket into the sound of 21st century justice. In the final analysis, the M142 HIMARS is a magnificent success of the information age. It was the weapon that proved that you don't need a 70-ton tank to rule the battlefield, you just need to be faster, smarter, and more accurate than the enemy. It has earned its place in the halls of military legends through fire, dust, and digital magic. As the HIMARS continues its watch across the globe, its legend only grows. It remains the highway sovereign, the digital sniper, and the machine that redefined the king of battle for the modern world. The HIMARS is here, and the world will never look at a 5-ton truck the same way again.